Croco was from the unclaimed cities nation of Mars, UCNOM/UNOM, the most underdeveloped nation on Mars. The development of the unclaimed cities nation of Mars came to a halt as it struggled to keep up with the other Martian nations. Unlike these nations, which thrived under the guidance and resources of their parent nations on Earth, the unclaimed cities nation of Mars, true to its name, lacked such support. Without the backing of an Earth-based sponsor, it faced unique challenge in both development and colonization compared to other cities on Mars and Moon that were nurtured by their parent nations. Left to develop on their own, they were isolated and unable to advance at the same pace as the other colonies. Croco was raised in UCNOM/UNOM by a single mother, growing up in less privileged conditions and enduring many forms of abuse. As the surname less, infamous child in UNOM, he constantly faced an identity crisis. This left a deep mark on his childhood, creating unpleasant memories that would haunt him for years. Over time, these experiences spurred a growing hatred toward his society which eventually expanded to include all kinds of people. Croco said, "When your identity is stripped away, it feels unbearable. It's horrible. But I didn't even have an identity to begin with. I had to leave behind whatever little I had, run, hide, and start over from scratch. It was so frustrating. It took all my growing up years and broke me inside, day after day. I just couldn't see any light at the end. I didn't know how I would ever rise above it. The feeling of everything being taken away from your life is the worst thing. Everywhere I went, I was isolated, targeted, and weighed down by a constant sense of inferiority. I couldn't do anything. Fighting back was impossible. All I could do was just endure, bear it, and hope it would pass by." After being released from the juvenile center, Croco decided to completely change his identity. He was aware that the world would always judge him harshly without a respectable name. So, he changed his name to Joseph Matthews. He fabricated an entirely new past, carefully constructing lies about his childhood to conceal the truth. He convinced others of this false narrative, aided by the fact that few could recall him as much of his childhood had been spent hidden from society's prying eyes and under the protective shadow of his mother. Shielded by his mother's protection and confined within juvenile centers for years, his real story faded into obscurity, making his reinvention all the more believable. Croco says that when he first left his toxic home environment and was placed in state custody, put into a family setting where peace and harmony prevailed, he could not stay there for long. It was incredibly difficult for him to adjust to this new environment, one he had never experienced in his entire life. The silence and tranquility of the house felt suffocating to him. The peace that filled the home made him feel unsettled, even crazy. He was used to a chaotic home where the family members constantly shouted at each other, fought, and lived in a loud, toxic atmosphere 24/7. At night, it was even worse with fights erupting, preventing him from sleeping. Croco never adapted to the sudden change in his environment and in the end, he ran away. He never settled into a normal peaceful life again. For him, the peace was too extreme, peace was simply not for him. Croco said, "I grew up without any relationships." He had no manners and did not know how to interact well with others in society. As a result, he became a lost child developing no societal norms as there was no one to guide him. This led him to go down to the darker side of society from a young age. Instead of becoming more mature and leaning toward the positive path, Croco went in the opposite direction. Indrajit idolizes Vijay deeply and by extension, he reveres all the personalities Vijay considers his idols. He marvels at the vast number of remarkable figures Vijay has drawn inspiration from, saying that Vijay's knowledge of these great individuals' life stories is truly astounding. Indra says that Vijay encouraged him to follow a similar path, emphasizing the transformative power of learning about the lives of extraordinary people, how their struggles, achievements, and philosophies could inspire greatness. Indra notes that Vijay's admiration extends beyond historical figures to include legendary fictional characters from movies, novels, comics, and folklore, all of which have greatly contributed to the development of VJ's magnificent personality. So why not idolize my own brother VJ, Indra reflects, and uncover his secret to living a meaningful life, which is to learn from the stories of these great personalities, real and human created. Indra says the list of VJ's idols is a long one, and though he has learned about many of them, he is certain there are still more to discover. He believes the list may still be missing some names, which he plans to confirm with VJ and continue learning about those personalities as well. Indeed, it's a daunting list, and even I, the writer of this book, might inadvertently leave some names out. You never know with VJ, it's hard to keep up with someone as inspiring as him. Indrajit mentions, here is the expansive list of individuals VJ has studied and drawn inspiration from: Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Confucius, Immanuel Kant, John Locke, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, Nelson Mandela, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., Che Guevara, Vladimir Lenin, Karl Marx, Mao Zedong, Simon Bolivar, Napoleon Bonaparte, Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Mother Teresa, Saint Francis of Assisi, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Marie Curie, Thomas Alva Edison, Benjamin Franklin, Nikola Tesla, Archimedes, Galileo Galilei, Nicolaus Copernicus, Carl Sagan, Leonardo da Vinci, Charles Darwin, Stephen Hawking, Richard Feynman, Ada Lovelace, Rosalind Franklin, Michael Faraday, Johannes Kepler, Gregor Mendel, Srimivasa Ramanujan, Alexander Fleming, James Clerk Maxwell, Katherine Johnson, John McCarthy, Alan Turing, Zhao Lianhua, mother of AI, artificial intelligence. Subramanian Chandrasekhar, Homi Bhabha, William Shakespeare, Rabindranath Tagore, Leo Tolstoy, Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, Mark Twain, George Bernard Shaw, Homer, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, John Milton, Jules Verne. VJ's favorite author. Mott T. Baluos, author of EMM, Earth, Moon, Mars, The Mandala Labyrinth Gold. EMM, Earth, Moon, Mars, Artificial Intelligence, AI Artificide and Fabricide, Time Travel Tourism 2099, Omer, Immortal, Perpetual, Endless, Infinite, Amar, Naturoman, The Protector of Everything, The Man with All Superpowers, among many books he published, and last book titled Autobiography by a Centenarian Science Fiction Writer. Isaac Asimov, Croco's favorite author, H.G. Wells, Arthur C. Clarke, Mary Shelley, Ray Bradbury, Ursula K. Le Guin, Jonathan Swift, Lewis Carroll, Enid Blyton, Oscar Wilde, William Wordsworth, J.R.R. Tolkien, Emily Dickinson, George Orwell, Ernest Hemingway, Kalidasa, Kabir Das, Mirza Ghalib, Munshi Premchand, R.K. Narayan, Victor Hugo, Michelangelo, Pablo Picasso, Sir Charles Spencer, Charlie Chaplin, Walt Disney, Dadsaheb Phalke, Satyajit Ray, Lata Mangeshkar, Helen Keller, Florence Nightingale, Aung San Suu Kyi, Malala Yousafzai, Rosa Parks, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Harriet Tubman, Eleanor Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Winston Churchill, Joseph Stalin, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Charles de Gaulle, John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, Mikhail Gorbachev, George H.W. Bush, Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, Clement Attlee, Barack Obama, Isabel Perón, Vigdis Finnbogadottir, Angela Merkel, Sirimavo Bandaranak, Margaret Thatcher, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, Gianni Zail Singh, Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, Queen Victoria, King George VI, Queen Elizabeth II, Alexander the Great, Queen Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi, Rajiv Ratna Gandhi, Bhagat Singh, Rani Lakshmibai, Joan of Arc, Sarojini Naidu, Rachel Carson, John Muir, Jane Goodall, Greta Thunberg, Wangari Maathai. Sir Don Bradman, Sunil Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, Ravi Shastri, Bishan Singh Bedi, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, MS Dhoni, Milka Singh, Major Dhyan Chand, Pilavala Kandithekaparambal Usha, PT Usha, Shane Warne, Pele, Diego Maradona, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Roger Federer, Steffi Graf, Williams sisters, Martina, Rafael Nadal, Carl Lewis, Jesse Owens, Bolt, Florence, Michael Phelps, Muhammad Ali, Tyson, Calm, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Nadia Comaneci, Biles, Michael Schumacher, Kasparov, Anand, Jim Thorpe, Red Grange, Johnny Unitas, Bart Starr, Jim Brown, Dick Butkus, Gale Sayers, Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw, Walter Payton, Joe Montana, Bronco Nagurski, Paul Hornung, Otto Graham, Sam Huff, Dristan Oric Axel Solis, winner of the inaugural Mandala Labyrinth Gold. He hailed from EMM Moon. Alara Voss, first female Mandala Labyrinth Gold champion, she was from EU Mars. Henry Jacobs, 5 times Mandala Labyrinth Gold champion, VJ's sports idol. Sir Edmund Hillary, Tenzing Norgay, Captain James Cook, Roald Amundsen, Fridtjof Nansen, Marco Polo, Ferdinand Magellan, Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama. Laika, the first living being, a dog, to orbit Earth. She did not survive the mission, but Laika is remembered worldwide as a pioneer and a symbol of the sacrifices made during the early days of space exploration. Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin. Valentina Tereshkova, Neil Armstrong, Rakesh Sharma, Serjahan Se Eka, Kalpana Chawla, Svetlana Orlovskaya, the first person to set foot on Mars, a female cosmonaut. Alexei Kosmyshev, the second person to set foot on Mars, fellow cosmonaut of Svetlana, following her from the same lander. Steve Jobs, Ratan Tata, Bill Gates, Tim Berners-Lee, Linus Torvalds, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, Warren Buffett, Wright brothers, Frank Whittle, Mei Xiaoying, famous military scientist of EMM world, Indra's role model. This Indra says includes great historical figures and thinkers, scientists and inventors, political leaders and revolutionaries, spiritual leaders and philosophers, environmentalists and conservationists, literature artists, writers, poets, rulers, monarchs, legends of history, sportspersons, industrialists, business pioneers, and countless others from various realms of human achievement. Indra mentioned that it took him a considerable amount of time to search for all the relevant documents and learn life histories of these personalities. Indra shares that Vijay started this journey of learning at a very young age, taking the time to study these eminent personalities in depth and absorbing unique qualities from each of them. Over the years, Vijay cultivated a personality that embodies the best human traits, a synthesis of wisdom, compassion, determination, and creativity. Inspired by his brother, Indra embarked on the same journey. Though initially overwhelmed by the sheer breadth of the list, he followed Vijay's advice to take it one person at a time. It took years, but slowly and steadily Indra was able to internalize the lessons of these remarkable individuals, enriching his own character in the process. Today, he credits Vijay and this lifelong learning practice for shaping him into the person he has become. What began as a daunting challenge, he says, turned into a deeply fulfilling journey, thanks to Vijay's guidance and example. Indra recalls that when Vijay was very young, he was first taught by their grandfather, Premjit Param Rajtilak, with the support of their father, Narjit Param Rajtilak, and Vijay's mother, Isabella Mary Smith, who herself idolized Mother Teresa and many other great female personalities, to study the lives of great figures from around the world. They encouraged Vijay to embrace the positive lessons from these great figures while discarding their less admirable traits. Vijay's uncle, whom Vijay considered as a guiding friend, also played a key role in this process. As Vijay grew older, he continued this practice on his own, discovering and learning from the lives of countless influential personalities across various fields. His fascination extended to non-real, fictitious characters as well, who provided him with additional inspiration. This lifelong journey of learning from these enlightened souls deeply influenced Vijay's growth and development. Indra exclaimed, "Oops! I forgot to mention the legendary fictional characters, non-real humans from movies, novels, comics, and folklore who inspire Vijay." So, here is again another long list. Superman, Batman, Luke Skywalker, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. The iconic line is something Vijay took to heart, shaping his actions and decisions as he applies it earnestly in his life like a moral compass. Sherlock Holmes, Terminator, Indiana Jones, Jane Eyre, Elizabeth Bennet, Vijay's most loved female character, whom he used to name his clone sister Lizzie. Fitzwilliam Darcy, Mr. Darcy. Hercule Poirot. Frankenstein. Captain America. Black Panther. Iron Man. Harley Quinn. King Arthur. Hercules. Perseus. Robin Hood. Aladdin. Pinocchio. Simba. Tarzan, the protector of the jungle, its wildlife, plants, ecosystem, and environment. Vijay's favorite character, a hero who defends the environment from those who would harm it for personal gain, symbolizing the ideals of conservation and respect for nature. A champion of the natural world and a savior of the jungle. King Solomon. Sinbad the Sailor. Cinderella. Zorro. Mulan. Macbeth. Don Quixote. Peter Pan. Mowgli.